Guys, look at this. This is absolutely terrible. Like, get your 3D model, 6 HP or 8 HP looks like. Welcome to our X5 project. This is kind of what we're dealing with here. This thing is super uber dirty. Like uber dirty. It's got kind of crusty, it's got like oil bull crap everywhere, and so we're going to clean this thing. And it was kind of a questionable subject. We have just dirty math. We got just kind of got everything. So this is Operation Clean X5 before we repair X5. Got a lot of work to do, folks. A lot of work to do. See behind me in the bed of the truck, we have some good old tires for the X5 project for Caitlin. They are BFG KM3s. We picked these bad boys up for $840. I am absolutely stoked. They are 32.5s for 18-inch wheels, and they are going to be freaking phenomenal on this, and I'm just over ecstatic about it. I don't know. I'm super happy. And GPS is taking us through our neighborhood right now, so that's kind of weird. But yeah, tires, check. Wheels, we got 8 of the same wheels. We're not going to go beadlocks right now with Jeeps. I can't find beadlocks for under $2,000 that don't have tires on them. Like, they have 35s, 37s, or 40s, and that is not going to fit on the X5 unless we like do some serious suspension modification. So, sticking with the factory BMW wheels, we're going to carry a spare. I don't think Garrett has beadlocks. Garrett, if you have beadlocks, drop a comment, or I might edit this video if you tell me you have beadlocks. I don't know. But I think we're going to be fine. I did Windrock with no beadlocks. All the tires just fell over. And so, I think we're going to be okay. Back to the house. Welcome to the garage. We have the X5 jacked up so I can get these wheels off, start doing the front suspension, brakes, rear suspension, the whole 9 yards. And plus, it kind of makes it easier for me to lean over. Right, Beamer? Yes. Beamer agrees. So we're going to go ahead and dive in, do a little time lapse here. I'm going to go ahead and disassemble and demolish the whole entire front of Caitlin's X5. Sorry, sweetie.
I am beginning by removing all vacuum lines and wires that will be moved for the maintenance. Next, we're going to disassemble the intake manifold, starting with the throttle body, EGR actuator, swirl flaps and swirl flap actuator. Geez, this is dirty.
I apologize for the noise. My heater is rather annoying, but guys, look at this. Oh my goodness, dude, this is insane. Like, every seal is broken, everything is covered in soot. Like, look at this. This is absolutely terrible. Like, we're probably going to replace all this now. I didn't order it, but I'm going to go order it in a minute. Jeez, dude. This poor X5 didn't deserve all this. Like, look at those swirl flaps. Dude, these are insane. I mean, they were unplugged, so I guess they're stuck in the open position, quote, but dude, what the heck? That is insane. Look, I can just... all of that is in this intake. That's bonkers, dude. Probably shouldn't be touching this, but, you know, what the heck, we're already here. But that's crazy. Alright guys, going to be a little behind the scenes look. I don't really do this often. I did it like once or twice with the RC videos, and I got pretty good feedback, so I figured you guys would like to see this stuff. So let's dive behind the scenes of what I'm doing for Caitlin's X5. First and foremost, you have to have coffee. This is my cat mug. I think Caitlin got this for me. You have to have coffee. Black rifle coffee or some lard mushroom coffee. Number 1. Number 2, you need a computer. Say hey to Dad and Mom. Anyway, so here we have the, EGR out of M57. It's still got the solenoid on the top. All that stuff is where the EGR cooler would plug into the side. And yeah, so this thing is, if you even like touch it remotely, you just get like soot all over you. Start with that guy. You design it on the computer and get your 3D model going. Then you take it to your printing software. It's Bamboo Labs for the P1S. Slice this bad boy. Make sure everything is good. We got a nice base here. Everything looks like it's going to be pretty freaking solid. And once you have that, then you see that this is going to take approximately 2 hours to print. Till your cost and all that stuff break down. Then you go ahead and you transfer to your print plate. Go ahead and do our PETG right here. We'll transfer this and then we'll send it to the good old printer. It wasn't like too in-depth to bore you, but if you're curious like what all goes into this, that was a very light load on what goes into this and how I go about making this stuff. It's really simple. At first, simple is discrediting myself a bunch, but probably been here 2 or so hours making this product. Not too bad. I'm sure there'll be some R&D involved as far as testing this, prototyping it, and all that good stuff. I'll probably make 2. I seem to be like number 3, sometimes 4 is my magic number for like my prototypes. I seem to get it absolutely perfect by 4, sometimes 3, and that's just kind of how it goes. So 1 will probably fit good, bolt up. You could probably send it down the road with number 1. I do some tweaks number 2 to make it better, make it pretty good, and then number 3 and 4 I usually perfect it and make it as good as it can possibly be to the products you know that I make for you, ladies and gentlemen of the RC community today. So let's dive back into the garage to this. And before someone goes in the comments, oh, you didn't support it, your design is gonna fail, yada yada. Here's the supports where I put this thing on the printer. So what we're working on now is getting the harmonic balancer off. Here is one of the 4 crank bolts. You have to lock the back of the flywheel. I'll drop a link right here so you guys can see all the stuff, and you pop these out. These are E12s. Let me confirm. I use this little stubby extension. It's still a little bit, you have to pry the auxiliary fan back to get this guy in here. Should have pulled the water pump before, would have made it a little bit easier to get out, but sorry, I just went to the doctor, so I had this stuff on me. But yeah, this is this. Sorry, 1 second, gotta do a shameless plug here. First Form Energy Citrus Blast, pretty good, pretty good. Reminds me of like a Sprite and or Mountain Dew mixed together. Anyway, this is your harmonic balancer, boys and girls. This is it. This is what the belts go to. So it goes bolts directly to your crank, 4 bolts. These are torque to yield bolts. These are non-reusable. You can see barely any thread kind of goes into this guy. But looking at this guy in depth, we can see in here, we have all of this like cracks on this rubber. We have a bunch of cracks on this edge right here. This is kind of like starting to deteriorate. Usually you'll get some cracks along this edge over here. So this is like a very common failure. It can make the motor become unbalanced. Could definitely eat a serpentine belt or something as well. So yeah, this car is 150K on it, so definitely time to redo it. It's definitely probably never been done, maybe has, I don't know. We're gonna go ahead and replace it with, I think, an L-ring is the one I bought. This bad boy is like 350 bucks, so not the cheapest part, but will definitely save you some headache. And we're going into that. I know it's kind of expensive. Some people talk about the fluid dampener and all of this. I've heard mixed reviews on the fluid dampener causing like, could be some main bearing issues. I have no idea. I just went back of OEM. Also see, this is after I've cleaned everything. This thing is still absolutely filthy, so I'm gonna do another cleaning. This is where the thing bolts to, and you kind of have to deal with the auxiliary fan kind of sitting right here, or radiator fan. I guess there's no auxiliary fan on this. It bolts right here, and you kind of got to get these bolts out. At the back, let me get up here. At the back, under the starter, you can kind of begin to see. Try to get you guys zoomed in. I have a like E40 L Allen key shoved into the fly right here. If it's never been touched before, if it has, you should also have this plug that goes into there and should come right out. I popped this guy out with just a little pick. Comes out. So I don't care what anybody says, you do not have to have a special tool for this. I do not have any special tools. Yes, I work on BMWs a lot. Yeah, I should have special tools, but you really don't have to have them. So just understand with simple knowledge and mechanic skills, you can do this stuff. I just took the same ratchet that I used to get the bolts out, and I simply turned the crank with my left hand, and with the right hand, I simply tried to feel with that Allen key and kept sticking it in there and holding pressure until I spun it and it went click into the hole. I left it, put pressure on it, pushed down on the crank. Well, excuse me, I reversed the ratchet and pulled up because you're going to be loosening the bolts. So you're going to be counterclockwise, staring at the front of the truck. And I went ahead and loosened that, and it came out pretty easily. So note our thermostat came out pretty broken as well. This pulley was not terrible, but you know, going to replace it right here. This is all the stupid communist equipment taken out. This coolant pipe was subjective. It's like the big pipe that runs along here under the manifold. I was going to replace it, but I'm just gonna risk it for the biscuit here. MAF was indeed broken and covered in soot, so we're replacing that guy. Some of these lines I'm not replacing. I do have to put a connector right here that would go to the EGR. I'm going to replace that connector as well, and all the good stuff. I'm also replacing the giant weird hose that is right here, because this middle hose right here felt soft. I'm not sure if it's supposed to. So we're gonna go and replace this big line. He goes all the way over here, the reservoir, yada yada. Be very careful pulling this out, because there's like little corner tabs right here, if you can see, that are stuck on the block, and you'll slice your finger almost off and open very much. Happens to the best of us. Happens to the best of us. This line goes just like this, but lower. This sits under the radiator. Down at the bottom, it clicks over here past the oil cooler all the way down there, And so that line runs all the way there, connects to a junction here, has this little rubber beast right here, then goes all the way over to the bottom of the coolant reservoir. This is what the hose looks like when you get it. So kind of same deal, different way, but kind of a disaster to get to when everything's in here. So I went ahead and replaced this while we're here. And upon putting the other hose in, I noticed something I missed. If you look at the cut on this hose, it's not leaking, but it's a disaster to get down here, and especially on the trailer or something. And yes, I have to finish cleaning this, but this was after we cleaned the top. This guy right here is going to be an issue, so we're going to go ahead and replace this line while I'm here. The things you got to look out for preventive wise. So again, some of these parts are not necessarily bad, but while we're here, we're doing it as cheap insurance and preventive maintenance. That hose was, I think, like 60 bucks. Super cheap insurance, and breaking down on the trail, going on the way to work, or just something random. Trying to prevent anything that could happen. I think they're having more fun with the packaging than I am. But give me this. Give me this. Give me this. Welcome to my kitchen. Ignore the robot vacuum going. Here's box number 1. Box number 2 is already on the car, and here is the rest of the stuff on our kitchen table. We got a cooler, we got belts, Caitlin's, and yeah, we have a whole bunch of goodies to go in the X5 just arrived from SCP. So now, the way of parts, we are ready to dive into repairing the X5, and I am super excited. We're going to start with the harmonic balancer, then water pump, and then kind of follow up from the ground up. Something else to note, factory parts are amazing. They are OEM, they're what came on your vehicle from the factory, but aftermarket parts are better, I want to say half the time, if not a little bit more, in my opinion. Exhibit A. This is the factory BMW water pump. It has BMW stamped right here. This is like a, I don't know what I want to say, composite impeller wheel on the water pump. This is the thing when you're, you know, you're pumping water through these little fillers, kind of going through there. That's what pumps the water. So if this bearing in here like swells or this stuff cracked because this is plastic, you have no water pump. So this is an aftermarket Garf water pump, very good quality. It's brass. And when the thing turns, now it does the same thing, but you don't have risk of this plastic cracking or swelling or breaking. I'm not saying by any means this is a lifetime water pump. I'd probably still do normal change intervals on this, whatever the OEM manufacturer recommends. But guys, you can see the difference right here. And this thing, I want to say was like 68 bucks. Factory BMW one is probably like, I don't know, 180 bucks or something like that. Another thing that I kind of had to learn the hard way, because you always think more expensive means better. More expensive doesn't always mean better. Parts that aren't as expensive does not mean they're not as good of quality. This is a perfect example of that. We got half the cost of the water pump, and we got a better quality part that I believe and I trust in way more than the factory BMW stuff at this mileage. Now, factory BMW to like 50, 70K or something like that, of course you're going to trust that. It's a BMW. If you didn't trust that, you probably wouldn't own a BMW or whatever application you may dive this into. Here's a part number for something I can't recommend more. This is a high performance silicone little 1/4 inch block off, and if you look at the water pump, this is where it would go to the EGR cooler. So this is a piece right here that will go to the EGR cooler from the water pump to provide the EGR cooler with coolant. A lot of times people just end up breaking this off right here and like putting JB Weld on it or something of the sort because this clicks over top of it. But again, this is plastic and it could fail. And over top of that, you are able to fit this thing perfectly and tighten it down. So it's just a little cheap insurance. Even if you don't put it on now, keep it in the car for later. It's super easy to get to, like in the car now that all that crap is out of the way. And it's just cheap insurance for me. This way totally works. You could even take, if you'd like to, and I guess cut this right here, put that on the end of this if you'd like. You have to get a different size. But just my 2 cents is what I've done the last couple X5s we've done. It just helps a lot and gives probably like good peace of mind. And this is what it will look like once you're done. It just goes over top of that. You tighten the hose clamp down, and now this is not going to break. It's silicone. It's not going to come off and all that good stuff. And plus, it looks a lot better than like a rubber boot. Mechatronics unit is down. We are going ahead and doing these little bushings in the top. There are 4 of them. Replace these guys. We're also going to replace this little plastic piece. I'm not exactly sure what it's called, so I apologize my unintelligence on that, but this piece can crack and lead to leaks down the road, as well as the piece that goes in the top of here where the plug goes. It can also crack and such. So we're just doing all this. I'm not doing solenoids at this moment because I don't really see a need for it, but this is what the inside of your 6 HP or 8 HP looks like, if you were curious, guys.
Oh god, half the mark's gone.